All right, traders, with building out a watch list from scratch, a lot of people ask me, I get asked almost every single day, how do you find these stocks? How do you know when to enter? Where do you set your price target? How much are you willing to risk? So within this webinar, I'm going to show you how I find these stocks, and I'm going to break down to you these, upcoming trading plans for these particular stocks. So I'm going to show you how I'm planning to trade the best setups at the best prices, because that is what it is that we do here at Trader Society. Trader Society is going to be launching tomorrow night. Stay tuned for further details in the upcoming video. So let's get into this webinar here. As you can see, these are my charts by Thinkorswim by TD Ameritrade. And let's just wait, like just a couple minutes here for, people to start tuning in. Then we'll start really going in depth on some of these stocks that I'm currently looking at. But yeah, I'm going to be using mainly the Thinkorswim by TD Ameritrade, the scanners right here to be finding these stocks. And then also, a lot of you guys had commented on my last post in terms of what stocks do you want me to break down. I'm going to be breaking down those stocks as well. Um, so yeah, just give it about, just a couple minutes for people to start tuning in, and then we'll get right into this webinar. All right, so guys, in terms of one of the top stocks that I'm going to be looking at, it is going to be on the ticker symbol Zoom, ZM. That is going to be one of the top stocks I'm looking at here. So from a technical view, what it is that I'm seeing on this particular play is going to be this gap close reversal to then shoot back up and fill the gap. So there was a gap to fill right here at $179.48. Now today's the day where Zoom, it hit that key critical support level with huge upside potential. It filled that gap and it started to show signs of a reversal for now 2 days in a row. So it looks like we're starting to bottom out here for the short term being. And for the short term, I see this popping back up to $192 to fill this gap. So that's about 6 points from the current price of potential profit margins. If you were to go with some short term out of the money call options, closest to expiration, you can make a pretty good profit on those, flipping those really quick. Like if you were to go with, December 4th expiration on Zoom, buy call options. With that being said, you'd be looking at, like, let's say you went with the 190 strike. They're currently at $3. Those will be worth around like 450 if Zoom can like quickly tomorrow spike to like 191. So that's like what? That's like a 35%, 40, around like a 35% return. Um so yeah, that would be like the top one of the top focuses I'll be looking into tomorrow to buy the breakout on Zoom stock. Here, let me extend this more so you guys can see clearly on the screen too. Let's see. All right, there we go. Okay, so let's see. So Zoom is going to be a short-term play where we're looking to buy the breakout. So in terms of the breakout, let's see what it's doing during extended hours. Okay, so it's not doing much during extended hours. The key breakout level is like 186. If this can pop above like 185.50, 186, we are going to see a gap fill tomorrow. There's a gap to fill right here at 191. So that would be the play for Zoom. Play for the gap fill. That'd be a short-term potential trade that could turn into a swing trade as well. So yeah, that would be Zoom stock. Feel free to mention your stocks below as well. So you guys are saying the mic. Can you turn up the volume a little? Let's see. Let me know. Like, is this loud enough? Is everything good? Let me know. It should be good. Let's see. Okay, so FSR, SDC, ARDX. Okay, so yeah, let's start breaking these down. All right, so for FSR, let's see. Yes, so for this one, I would wait until we get to like $16. There's a gap to fill at 16.05. It looks like we're going to be headed back down to fill that gap below. So once we get to that, key level, we would need to see signs of strength, for this to run back up to like 18 for the short term. As of now, it did partially fill the gap and already recover very, very nicely. But it does look like we are going to be heading back down to the lower 16 range to really start to fill that gap. If you look at the 5-day chart, for the most part, it's still struggling to break out past like 17.80 to $18 a share. And it looks like it's trying to climb back down. I think this is gonna go back down to fill the gap below. So you could look to see how it reacts towards $16.05 a share. If you see a bullish reaction around there, it should pop back to like 17 plus. So yeah, we'll see how that reacts. So let's see. Tesla. So Tesla kind of tried to bottom out here at that key 1000 whole number. I personally think from more of like a midterm point of view, there's a gap to fill right here at like $1,220, and then there's a gap to fill right here at like 900 and $8. I think what we're gonna see happen is I think we're gonna start to see this gap fill. There's a gap to fill at $909. That's where I see Tesla going. It's gonna take some time though. Like in the meantime, it's gonna be a little bit sideways. It'll have some short-term spikes, but in terms of like an overall picture, I basically think we're gonna fill this gap here at 909 before we go back up and fill this gap at 1222. So like in the meantime, I'm thinking like short-term spikes where it pops to previous heavy support at 1060, tops out right around there, which can potentially be an opportunity to then short and then ride it back down for a midterm play to 906. So that's my thoughts on it. But yeah, I mean Tesla's a really tough one to short. There's much better stocks to be shorting. I do think we're heading back to like 906 though within time. All right, so PayPal. So we're at 185 on PayPal. Let's see. So PayPal had this gap fill level right here. Nice reversal. So yeah, I mean, just we really need to, this really needs to stay above 185. That's key. See, like it's attempting to turn your previous heavy support, these nice bottom wicks at 185. It's been trying to, not only break down as it's been doing going back to 179, but it's been trying to turn into resistance. And it's not good when you see previous heavy support react as resistance. That's when you can see the stock really start to crumble. So if it can't break out past 185 and turn into support, the next level it's going to is 172 for PayPal. So it's basically at that make it or break it stage for the short term being, where not only does this have to hold above the 180s, but you need to see a push above 185 and start to hold and break out past 190s. I'm not really interested in it for the moment. So SDC, let's see. Yes, I mean there's no signs of a bottom on this one. Looking at the long-term chart, it does have a history of filling gaps. I like that about it from like a longer term point of view. When it gaps down, it does tend to recover. And then once it recovers, it tends to have reversals overall. Like there's a nice gap to fill right here, fills the gap, starts to reverse. There's a gap to fill right here, fills the gap, starts to reverse. There's a gap to fill right here, fills the gap, starts to reverse. Ultimately, it's been declining for the long term trend, but it seems like for the most part, it does get to a point where it shoots back up and it starts to fill the gap. So there's definitely a swing trade in play, as this also has, high short interest, and a lot of people are interested in investing for this for the long term. So I would say there's a good chance from like a longer term point of view where this goes back to 525. So now we're just looking for like signs of a bottom. So I'm gonna keep a close eye on that one for potential entry. It's just there's no signs of a reversal yet, but that will definitely be added to like a long-term list for sure, as it's extremely oversold and due for some sort of correction to start filling those gaps. So yeah, I think that'll be a good one long term. It's just in terms of entry, there's no reason to really buy it right now from a technical view. So I would just keep an eye on it. Okay, so Alibaba. So yeah, we finally saw a very, very strong day. So the key for the short term on this one is it needs to stay above this key level right here, $122. This is your, key resistance level. I mean, just look at this. You have key resistance right here at 122. It free falls to 108. And then today it gaps up. It quickly spikes back and it fills that gap. So with this one, it's either make it or break it. If this goes under 122, you're going to want to buy some puts and ride this back down to fill the gap at 112. Now, if this continues to hold above 122 and starts breaking out, it's going to spike. And in terms of like how high is it going to spike for the short term being if the bulls remain in control, we're looking at around $132. So just think of 122 as your make it or break it level heading into tomorrow, and we'll see how it reacts. But yeah, Alibaba is going to be a phenomenal one to watch tomorrow for like a nice trade. I think this is a good one. We just got to see how it reacts. So like if you see 122 crack, it bounces back up, turns it into resistance. You're going to want to buy some puts, ride it back down to 112. If you see it hold above 122, looks bullish, then you're going to want to grab some calls, ride it to 132. That's my thoughts on this particular one. In terms of the candlestick on the daily chart, I mean, it just looks so bullish and it's so low and it's so oversold. So like from a daily chart point of view, I'm leaning more towards on like buying calls. But what's going to matter is how this reacts heading into tomorrow. How's this going to react? We're going to start to see a breakout above like after hours highs, or is this going to crack 122, turn into resistance? So that's going to be the reaction I'm looking for tomorrow. But I'm definitely more long biased than short biased. All right, so ARGX, let's see. So this one lacks the volume. Um, so yeah, I mean, I really have no thoughts on this one. I'm not liking the current chart. I'm definitely leaning more towards on being bearish. I would say like your best chance for the short term is like back to 290. It's just like the chart to me looks overall bearish. I'm just not interested in this particular one. So far, like the best plays from the ones we went over. So the top ones I'm looking at so far is Zoom, Alibaba, um, and then SDC, but that's like a longer term play. Now let's see. So for PROG guys, so for Prague, this did end up closing strong. That's really good. We actually got a new day high in after hours. It hit 290, and it's really trying to hold above 285. So, if this continues to hold above 285 and it breaks out past 3, this is going to run again, man. Like before you know it, this will be at $4. As long as we can maintain stay above 285 to $3 a share, this is popping back to $4 easily. And then once we get to 4, man, like I said in my previous videos, if we see a rejection at $4, it starts reacting as a resistance, it's going to free fall back to 3. So that's when I'll look to short and get puts as long as we see a negative reaction. So, basically what we're looking at on PROG is if we see that bullish reaction, it's going to be a play from 3 to 4 to swing. And then when this hits 4, reacts as a resistance, it's going to be a play to short from 4 to 3. So I'm really looking forward to that one. That's going to be a good one as well. So far we got PROG, Zoom, Alibaba. I did want to mention QS. This recently had a very nice run with all the EV plays. This went from $20 a share fairly quickly to $43 a share. We are now approaching that gap fill level. There's a gap to fill at 2079. It's a key oversold level with huge upside potential. So for this one, I'm waiting for it to go back to fill the gap. Give it some time, it'll get there. And then if we see a positive reaction right there, my price alert will trigger. See a positive reaction, I'll look to buy this, ride it back up. So yeah, that should be a good one as well. QS, it's got a gap to fill right here at $40. We're gonna play for the gap close reversal. There's another gap right here at 27. So I mean that should be a good one. It's fairly heavy support channel, and it's fairly close towards like the IPO price as well. So that should be good. So that'll be like an upcoming play. So just wait for the gap to fill towards 20. So dunking. So yeah, for this one, someone asked me about this one recently when this was at like 30 like $35 a share. I told him like, this is going to go straight to fill that gap right here at $30 a share. So there's a gap to fill 30. It filled the gap. Let's see how it's been responding ever since it filled that gap. Has it been showing signs of a reversal? So these past 2 days, let's see. So in terms of yesterday, it cracked right through. In terms of today, it had a breakout. It turns it into support, and it pushed back up towards 31. So this is kind of like a similar play, to like Alibaba. So remember on Alibaba, the free fall level was at 122 where it failed to break out. It got crushed. Well, for dunking, your free fall level is going to be towards like 31.30. It hasn't quite gotten there, but of like 31.30 and like $30 a share. If it fails to break out, if it starts to crack through those, it's going right back towards like 28. Now for this one, if we can break above 31.30, turn it into support, it's going to be a buy. You're going to want to buy into that breakout. So that'd be the play for that. If you see it go above 31.30, starts to break out, buy into the breakout. If not, it starts cracking $30 a share, it's going to be heading back to 28. So it's a little bit too early to say where we're heading. It's only, it's filled the gap. It's only reacted so far negative and positive. It's trading at that key level. So tomorrow is going to be a key critical day for dunking and for Alibaba. So we'll see. But yeah, I'll definitely add that on my watch list. I also got the price alert set. So Ford. So let's see. So yeah, I mean Ford just seems like extremely overbought at these levels. In terms of like a put, in terms of like a play for this one, once you see that like $19 cracks and reacts as resistance, like you could see it already attempted to crack. Once you see this go back under 19, it cracks, it reacts as a resistance. You're headed back down to fill this gap at 1863. And then that would be a key critical level where the stock would need to hold up. If it cannot hold up at 1860 and that cracks, reacts as a resistance, see how so far filled that gap, reacted as support, so that's bullish. But if it cracks that, reacts as a resistance, overall, this is really going to start to decline within time, like a $16 right on this gap fill level right around that zone. So those would be your key levels for Ford. I'm really not interested in buying this at all. But yeah, let's see what else. So ISIG. So typically, let's see. So typically at these levels, it really tends to struggle towards 15 to 17 share. There is a gap fill right here at 1750, it looks like. So there's a gap fill right around there. It hasn't filled the gap. It tried to, now it's reversing. So for this one, from an overall point of view, we're going to be heading to fill this gap. There's an intraday gap that was, formed due to a trading halt. These tend to fill the same day, if not the same week. So basically, this is heading back to 950. That's where I see this heading back to 950. So it's going to be a potential short into resistance, basically. I would look to short into resistance. I would look to short into a pop, ride this back to 960. So this one is going to be like a day trading opportunity. Now, if you see it go to 960s and it's starting to bounce, that's where you'd want to scalp it for a day trade. Ride this back up to like 1150, like around 1150 a share would be the target on that. So right now I'm short biased, and then we got to see how it reacts towards 960s. If it cracks that, that's even bigger downside potential. You're looking at like 750s. In terms of this stock, when it has this massive green day, this massive gap up, it's typically not a multi-day runner. I mean, this is a prime example. It gaps up from the nearly the same level. The next day it gaps up, it gaps down, and then this is where it gets a little interesting. It comes back and it fills that gap. So I do believe there's going to be an opportunity to buy this back at some point for the short term. But it does look like, since we are down big in after hours, it's close to 1505, it's at 1250s, meaning the stock is on track to gap down massively tomorrow. I see this heading to 950 easily. Now, in terms of like your best entry to short the stock, it would be at the previous closing price. There's now a gap to fill at 1505. This is going down in after hours. It's on track to gap down massively. So there's going to be a gap to fill at 1505. So if this were to rip back to 1505, it's going to be a phenomenal shorting opportunity. But I'd be willing to short sell the key breakdown as well. The key breakdown would be around 1250, but not full size. So yeah, the price target for this one is 960s. And then we could potentially see something within some time where this has a reversal and shoots back up to fill this gap here at 1505. So that's my thoughts on it right now. The play would be to short, ride it back to 915, then sit on the sidelines, look for some bullish reactions, and then look to ride this back up to potentially 15. This is going to be a good one to trade potentially both ways. So that's going to be one of my top plays heading into tomorrow. So the next one is going to be SNDL. So if you guys remember, I posted one video about this stock, and it was on this day right here. Technically, it was on this day right here because it was running in after hours. So on this day right here, it was running after hours. It hit like 85 cents or something. And, I told people, if you see $1 to 95 cents, this gap fill level, react as a resistance level, it's going to get crushed, and it's going to be heading back to the lower 70-cent range, and now it's even lower. This stock works very, very well with the strategy. I pointed out in that video, the gap fill right here at 149, it hits it, and then it gets crushed. It fills the gaps waiting to fill below. Well, it did the same thing. So in terms of like SNDL, you have so many gaps that are waiting to fill below. You have a gap to fill right here at, so this one already filled. So it looks like your next gap is at like 38 cents. So like, it just doesn't look good. Like, it really, from a technical price action point of view, for the short to midterm, from like an overall direction, I would say we're heading back to like 38 cents. There's so many gaps to fill. There's a gap to fill at 38. There's a gap to fill at 27. There's a gap to fill at 24. As of now, there's no signs of like this massive long-term recovery. So yeah, I think, if you're looking for a long-term entry, I would really think about waiting to like start at around like 38 cents. But once it gets back down to fill these gaps, it's definitely going to have that reversal and start to pop back up, like rip to $1 plus. But yeah, so from a long-term point of view, I would wait. For the short term, there's no reason to buy from a technical view. So like from a long-term point of view, I would just start showing interest at around 20 to 40 cents. Those would be the two key buy zones. When it gets around there, that's when it could really pop. So APVO. So this one, you have a gap fill at 630. It's a key support level, huge upside potential. Then you have a gap to fill above right here. I mean, there's so many gaps to fill above on this one. Oh, you also have a gap to fill right here at 648. So let's see. You have 630 and 648. It recently gapped up massively, and there's a gap to fill above. So yeah, this is good. This is like a decent chart. So I'm gonna add this one on. So for this one, the zone is gonna be from 648. If you see signs of strength there, it's gonna be a buy. Ride this back up. If not, then the next level is gonna be 630. But looking at its chart history, we should see some sort of reversal, like in the lower sixes. Worst case scenario is it goes to 575. But I mean, looking at this chart from a short term point of view, using this gap fill strategy, it's like we really don't have much downside potential. So, overall, I do think we're due for some sort of pushback up. So yeah, I like this one. I'm gonna keep an eye on it for a potential buying opportunity. I mean, it already hit 677, ripped to 8 almost. But yeah, it should get back down there. So I would just wait. I would wait till like 630 to consider buying. Um so yeah, that'll be a good one to keep an eye on for sure. So we have a lot of good like potential trades and swing trades coming up. So let's see. OLMA. Yes, I mean the problem with this one is like it really lacks the long-term chart. And just looking at it, like it really likes to consistently push for new all-time lows. I would just avoid this one. There's going to be much better plays. Not to say that I can't shoot back up and fill this gap. It's just there's really no signs of it to really do that. In terms of like a day trading opportunity, there's this strategy called a gap breakout, where basically you find a stock that has a massive gap down, and then once that stock closes on the day, you take the high of day. So which in this case would be 1370. So basically, like say you see the stock break above 1370 and there's positive news out, there's a positive catalyst, the volume is looking strong, it's looking bullish, right? Basically, what you would do is with the strategy, you would buy the breakout at 1370 and there's no resistance. It's just empty space for a gap fill, waiting to fill above. So that's when the stock really starts to take off and start to fill the gap. So, I mean, that's the only thing that I would do with it. I would look for a day trading opportunity. You see it push back to 1370. Just understand though, it's not just about the price. You have to have, positive news, the strong volume. You have to have the bullish confirmations there for you. So I mean, that's what I would do with it. Other than that, I'm not interested in it. So for chapter for CHPT, you have a very strong foundational support channel right around here at like $20 a share to 1950. It wasn't too long ago where it cracked and it bombed out at 1770. And now that it cracked, it seems like it's forming lower highs, topping out at the 28 range instead of normally as it goes back to 32 to even $36 a share, which is kind of bearish from like a more macro longer term point of view. For the short term, you'd want to pay attention to, so there's a gap to fill right here at 1991. So as you can see, I mean, the strategy worked like once again. I mean, this is a key oversold level, heavy support, nice upside for the short term. Well, it sold off fairly quickly and then it filled the gap and it's already having signs of a reversal. So for this one, it looks like we're headed back to fill this gap. There's a gap to fill 2157. If that reacts as a resistance level, it's going to go back towards 1970s. If it breaks out, reacts as a support level, it should shoot back up towards $23. That's what I would look for on that one. As of now, though, it is responding, positively to that level. You got a nice wick forming here. So this does look bullish. I think it's going to continue to run. You just, I don't think 2150 is going to be a problem. It should go to 2150. Then from there, you'd have to see it reacts. Like if it reacts as a resistance, it goes back to 19s. Reacts as support, breaks out, it goes back to like 23 a share. So yeah, that's what I would look out for on chapter. I'll add that one to the watch list as well. So let's see. So BFRI. So BFRI is gonna be the next play. Yeah, so this one does have some potential. Just wait for 263. Right around there is where you'd want to consider getting in for that gap close reversal for pushback to like $3. So for this one, just wait till 263. That's where it's heading overall. There's only one gap that's waiting to fill above at 525. So hopefully it doesn't fill that gap. Hopefully it goes back to 263 first, then it has its reversal and it pops back 100% to fill the gap. But I'm going to set a price alert for at or above that key gap fill level 2, and we'll see how it reacts, from there. Looking at, yeah. So yeah, I mean that one's simple. Just wait towards 263, and it's a potential short at 525. So those are the key levels. Like potential short 525, potential buy at 263. So those will be good. You just gotta wait for them to trigger. So for Carnival Cruise Lines, I mean overall it looks bearish. Like as a whole, like it looks like you'll head back to like 15, 16 a share. For this one, I would just say like the potential short would be at like $20. If this can go back to $20, it's going to be a potential opportunity to buy puts. So we'll see how it reacts at 20. Other than that, I'm really not interested in doing anything with it. So for PPSI, so for this one's overall bearish. Like within time, it's heading back to, $3.25. So that would be the potential like buy zone. As for now, all I'm seeing is a potential short. The best price to short would be right here. There's a gap to fill at 10.11. So that's what I would see on this one. Um, One thing that I did find interesting with this one is you could see like right here, your key support is at 560. And it bottomed out at 560. It shot back up to fill this gap at 1040. Once it filled this gap, it had a reversal. Then it got crushed to fill this gap right here at 763. So, I mean, if history does repeat itself, it could look to bottom out in your fives and then push back up to tens. So you could look to see how it reacts towards like 550s, but overall, it's headed back to 550s. So right around that level, it could have some sort of short-term bounce. From like a macro point of view, though, it's heading back to 325. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it reacts. There could potentially be a quick trade to dip by this in the mid fives. We'll see. So those three price alerts, the best ones are the oversold ones and the overbought ones. The one in the middle would not be the best. Okay, let's see. So went over. Let's see. Okay, so BBIG. So yeah, for this one, I think we have some long-term potential. I mean, the bottom should be fairly close to Nair. It's just like it's still turning previous support right here, 260s into resistance, so that's not good. There's no signs of buying yet, but I think we'll get there. I don't think this stock is gonna be a problem going back to like $4 a share and like the mid to long term. It'll just take some time. But yeah, I'm watching that one for now. In terms of like the short term one, like it flips. Like PROG is now that short term play. So CLOV. Let's see. I mean, for the most part, it likes to go back up and fill the gaps. There's a lot of gaps to fill above. Still no signs of a bottom. But yeah, I mean, at some point, I think this will go back to like 550 to $6 a share. It's just there's no signs of a bottom. The ones that are pushing for new all-time lows, those are the much harder ones to trade. So yeah, I think there's going to be much better plays. Let's see. So for those of you who are interested in PROG, so like I would set your max risk. Like if you're looking for like a short-term swing trade, I would set like the max risk like right here at like 265, 265, 270. and I would set the target at $4 a share for the gap fill. That's where I'd really look to lock in profits. That's where I'll potentially be shorting it. Um, but yeah, that's definitely a play. I mean, that's definitely another play for a breakout to keep an eye on. Okay, so we went over all of these. Let's see if there's any new ones. So CREX. Okay, so we're currently at that key gap fill level. That was at 146. So far, it's bounced off of that. There is a gap to fill above. So remember, when you're playing gap close reversals, you always want a gap to fill within the side of the reversal. So you want the stock to gap down and then not fill that gap and then go back down to fill this gap, have its reversal, and then shoot back up to fill it. The strategy is always better if there's a gap to fill above. So just keep that in mind. Like if there's no gap to fill above, it's just not as good, but it's still a play. But yeah, this one is good. If we take a look here, it recently had a gap close reversal as well. There's a gap to fill right here, like the lowest one. It bottomed out and it shot up. There is another gap to fill here at 115. So this is something we're gonna have to keep an eye on. Like in terms of this one, it's like the volume is dry, so it's not gonna do anything crazy. Like if you look at last time, it filled the gap. It took like 2 months for it to really start to spike. Looking at its chart though, like this one always fills the gaps. This is kind of like the bullish charts you want to see. It always fills the gaps. Even the ones that are even better are the ones that push for new all-time highs, like the blue chip stocks, because then it's like almost a guarantee. But yeah, overall, I like this one. But I would sit on the sidelines, just give it time. You don't want to get in when it's completely dry. I would give it like at least a month. I would just give this one some time. Then once you see the volume start to come in, then I would look to start buying in. But yeah, I mean, I'll add that on like my more midterm watch list. I wouldn't do anything with it just yet. Lucid's gonna be interesting. So we had a really nice comeback today. There was a gap fill right here at 40.75. It went a little bit under, but then it closed strong. So it seems like Lucid is on track to go back to 47.27. So Lucid right now, it's a gap fill play to 47.27. Just like we talked about on CHPT, like for the short term, it looks like it's going to pump back for the gap fill at 21.57. So Lucid should do the same. And then you just have to understand, if it reacts as a resistance level, if it starts to struggle, then it's going to be headed back to like $40 a share. If it can break above, hold strongly, then it'll be on track to go back to $50 a share. So that's going to be a key critical play to watch out for. Is going to be Lucid stock. Especially like if you see it struggling, like you're looking at a 10-point potential short. So yeah, I'm going to keep a close eye on it. It's going to be interesting. Lucid will be a top watch heading to tomorrow. It's a key critical level for sure. All right, so Snapchat, let's see. There's just so much support right here at 48. Now it's been cracking and trying to turn it into resistance. This one has been really tough. This one has been really tough. I mean, I think for the long term, like 75 won't be a problem. As of now, though, it's really tough. This needs to really break above and hold like $50 a share. So your key level right now is at 48. If that can't break out, it's just going to continue to break down and try to crack 45. So like it's just very urgent and very important for the short term for this to really push above $48 a share. But yeah, this one's been tough. The overall chart, it's definitely been tough. Still currently not showing signs of a bottom, trying to turn previous support into resistance. OCGN, that's another like high interest short play. So this one, there's a gap fill at 552. So today's the day where it filled the gap. There hasn't been a positive reaction yet. So it's going to be really important for this to turn 552 into support. If it can do that, it will go back up to 576. There's a gap to fill at 576. Um, if not, then things are really going to start to get ugly for this one. You're looking at like more midterm, like $4 a share. Oh, okay, never mind. I missed this. Okay, so never mind. This is actually really relevant. So 525. Yeah, 525, there's a key gap fill level. Let's see what the floor was today. It bottomed out at 525. Wow. So, it's like, I mean, literally, if you guys remember, like PROG, this one has been bottoming out and having short-term reversals at the exact gap fill levels. Like if you remember right here at 297, the low of day in pre-market on this day was 296, and then it shot up to 365. And then today we had the gap fill at 214. The exact low of day was at 213, and in the pre-market it bottomed at 214. And if you look at OCGN just did the same exact thing. And a lot of stocks did this today. But OCGN, there's a nice gap fill play at 525. Right here, there's a gap to fill at 525. So far, it's bottomed out. So yeah, this is going to be a top watch. I'm going to keep a very close eye on it. It's like you're not risking much. You're risking like, $5 a share. The short-term target would be 576. If it can break out past that, the next target is like 650. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this reacts at that key level. I mean, if you look, it's just so much support. Like right here, it went from 524. Wow, so it actually filled the gap. It filled the gap before at 524, the exact level, and then it just rocketed. So yeah, this one's going to be interesting for sure, and it tends to fill the gaps. Like if you look at the overall zone, the zone has been this gap fill level at 525, shoots back up to close this gap. Now it's back at this zone, and there's a gap to fill at 570s, and then there's another gap to fill at 1260s. So like if history repeats itself, this is a home run, but there's really not much risk involved. Like as long as you're keeping a stop at like $5, because you don't want to hold past like $5, because if five cracks and turns it into resistance, there's basically no support until 370. You don't want to hold through that big of a pullback. But your upside potential is so huge. So the risk is worth taking if you set a stop at like 5. So yeah, this will be a top watch for sure. We'll add OCGN, see if the buyers start stepping in like they've already attempted to. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. I like the chart. It could really start to run at 575, can break out and hold. But yeah, that'll be good. So, but yeah, that's a good chart. It's you want to find more ones like that one. Okay, so for G-Tech, so yeah, this one will be heading back. Just give it some time. It'll be heading back to 522. That's where the gap fill level is. So we got to see how it reacts at 522. That's what we'd have to see. I mean, it wasn't too long ago where there was a gap to fill right here. There was a gap to fill right here. It fills the gap, has a little reversal. There was a gap to fill right here. It starts to fill the gap, has a little reversal. So yeah, I mean, we'll see how it reacts towards 522, and then you have the gap to fill above at 1169. The stock has a strong history of filling those gaps long term. It truly does. So that's another good potential one. G-Tech, we'll add that onto the list too. So yeah, we'll see how that reacts at the 5-ish level. So MMAT, we're trading at some heavy support. So it looks like there's no gaps to fill below. There might, let's see, 310. Has it went back there before? It has filled it before. I mean, we are at some key support. Yeah, but the candle looks good. I think for the short term, we could see a run back to potentially 4. I'll keep an eye on it. It's not my favorite chart though. I think there's going to be better plays, but I'll keep an eye on this one. MMAT. If it can continue to hold above like 315, it should push back to 4 within some time. So DI. Yeah, so I mean this like this type of chart, there's just really nothing to it. This is just something I would avoid. It's just rapidly declining, pushing for new all-time lows. It lacks a history of filling the gaps over time too. I mean, the chart reminds me of like Wish stock, basically just a free fall. I would sway away from that one. There's just really not much to look for in terms of the chart. I mean, if Wish can hit $1, I'll consider buying Wish $1. Okay, let's see on Amazon stock. Okay, so for Amazon, I would wait. I'd really wait this one out. Amazon likes filling gaps. There's a gap to fill at 3245. There's another one at 3200. That'd be like the best level. Like if you ever see Amazon go back to 3200, just buy calls on it. This stock has consistently bottomed out at 3200 so many times, pushing for new all-time highs. There was a gap to fill right here. This was one of my best trades for the year. It was nearly a 400% profit return on a short-term swing trade. I think I held it for like 4 to 5 days. It's on my channel. If you go back and watch the older videos, there's a gap to fill right here, 3,200. It forms the bullish confirmations. It explodes, and then it starts to fill this gap. Like history's gonna repeat itself. Just wait for like 3,200 on this one. That's gonna be the time to get back in, and then really ride this back up. I think it's headed back to 3,200. You just got to be patient, give it time, and then that's going to be that buying opportunity to play for that gap close reversal. It's had two gap close reversals off that level. It's literally bottom exactly at it. Like there was a gap to fill right here at 3,200. It hits it, it skyrockets. There was a gap to fill right here once again, 3,200. It hits it, it skyrockets. Like Amazon's going to be phenomenal. Just wait for it to drop like 225 more points. But I'm telling you, that'll be an amazing play, man. You really can't go wrong with Amazon. So yeah, that'll be a great swing trade play for some call options. That's something where I'd personally go heavy on. So I'm gonna be waiting for that for sure. That'll be a good one. So for Six Flags, SF, no, this isn't Six Flags, is it? I think no, Six Flags is something else, right? Yeah, this isn't Six Flags. So for SFIX, I mean, it's just on a consistent downtrend. There's really no reason to get in from a technical view. I would say like for longer term, like we're probably going to be heading back to like 1550. There's a gap to fill 1550. That's where I see this going like mid to longer term 1550. I don't see any reason to really get in on this one as of now. So I would wait towards that level. I'll set some price alerts. There's a couple gaps to fill. I'll set some price alerts at these gaps to fill. One play I've been waiting on is Space. I think Space has some great long-term potential. It's at its key support level. If you look at its overall chart, there's a gap to fill here at 1049. There's a gap to fill here at 1219. Have we seen signs of a bottom? Not yet. So I mean, it looks like we're headed back down to fill those gaps, but I'm telling you, man, Space long term, this could be big. Like this could easily shoot up to like $25 to $30 a share. There's so many gaps to fill above. It loves bottoming out normally like $15 a share. I think it's gonna go a little bit lower, so I'm gonna wait. But yeah, long term leap options. There's gonna be some great plays like Amazon, some calls on that, calls on Space when the time is right. So this is one I've been waiting for. I like the channel. I always like stocks that have that huge upside potential and that have proven to do it several times at key levels, at those like gap fill levels that have a history of filling the gaps. So yeah, that's like what I like to look for technical view. So for ISPC, your make it or break it level is going to be like right here. It's on track to go back to 1020. That's where this is basically heading, to fill this gap at 1020. Then you got to see how it reacts towards there. You know, there's another gap to fill right here at 888. So if it can't hold 1020, it goes back to 888. And then it basically free falls if 888 fails to hold up. So I would look to see how it reacts. I mean, I would personally wait towards like 888. I would go like a lower one. Look to see how it reacts towards like 888. Also, because it's like a previous resistance level, topped out right around here towards that level. So yeah, I mean, for Aether, it's just, again, there's no signs of a reversal. There's no gap close reversal play here. So I mean, for now, I'm on the sidelines. I'm just avoiding this one. For the trend to reverse, it needs to break out past $5 and hold it. As of now, it cracked previous support right here at 480, and it's turned into resistance, which is bearish, which means it's still on a downtrend. So yeah, there's no signs of reversal yet on this one. So SE. So for this one, wait for it to go back to 226. Wait for 226. Overall, should head back there. Wait for 226. If you see the bullish confirmations at that level, it's going to be a buy, and then look to ride it back up towards like 245. If it can't hold 226, the next level is like $200 a share. That's where it'll be heading from there. So I would just sit on the sidelines for that one for now. So is SPY going to drop? So yeah, SPY's a little bit interesting. I still don't think we're gonna be able to see like a new all-time high before heading back to like 442 to around 442. I think it's really gonna be tough for them to pull that off. For the time being, for the short term being. So like with this one, in terms of like put options, your best case scenario is it shoots up to 469.50. That would be like the best price you can basically get puts at, is 46.950. There's a gap to fill at 46.950. Right now your battle is going to be like, let's see. So I mean, your overall channel is like 450 to 460. If 460 reacts as a resistance, it heads back to 450s and then on track to go to 442 within time. Now, if 460 breaks out and turns it into support, then it's going to be on track to fill this gap at 469.44, which would be the best price to buy the puts. So for this one, we got to see. We got to see how this holds up, how this reacts at 460s. That's going to be the key. As of now, it's still been struggling. You know, for almost 4 days in a row, it's still been failing to break out at that key level. So I mean, if this starts to break down below like 458, it's going to be an opportunity to potentially buy some puts, to ride it back down to 442 within some time. That would take like 2 weeks to happen. Just know that the best thing you do is wait for 469, but there is an opportunity, you know, at this 460 key level. So we just really got to see how it reacts. It's been a little bit tricky here, but still, I still think the Bears have a great chance of going to 442 before we see 469. So let's see. So Emrin, and then Emrin. Okay, so Emrin does like having gap close reversals. So for this one, wait till 381. Wait till it goes to 381 and then look for like a scalp on it. 381 would be a key level to buy for a scalp. I won't do anything with it just yet. Let's see, how low did this go already? This went to 432. So yeah, I'd wait till like 381. So for PHUN, just wait till it goes back to like $1.53. Like just there's nothing to really do with this one. I wouldn't do anything with this one. Like I'm telling you guys, if you can, so PHUN follows DWAC. If you compare the chart DWAC to Robinhood, the charts are nearly identical, and there's just really no reason from like a technical view for this to rise big like anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, if you just study the charts, like it's literally the same exact pattern. Like Robinhood launches their stock, right? And then big green day, massive gap up. That's the all time high. That's the all time high. And then ever since, it's just been a downhill slope consistently. Um, it's just the only difference is like the WAC hasn't been pushing for new all time lows. But yeah, just don't do anything with these ones. Really gotta wait. So for SOS, I mean, let's see. Okay, so let's see if there's a gap. So there's a gap at 94 cents. Has it been there before at that time? Yeah, so there's a gap to fill actually at 94 cents. That is a strong support level with nice upside potential. So I'd look to see how this reacts at 94 cents. So yeah, we'll see how it reacts towards 94 cents or pop back to like 130, 140. We'll see. Yeah, that'll be a key one to like for. I like the candle too. So it hit 92 cents. So yeah, today it filled the gap and it had a reversal. It literally bottomed at that. So this is the gap I was talking about right here at 94 cents. There's a gap to fill. So it filled the gap today, had a positive reaction, shot back up above a key whole $1 round number, which is good. And it's, trying to push above this previous closing price. So for this to continue to really run for true strength, it has to stay above 110. If not, then $1. That'd be like a dollar max risk, like 94 cents. As of now, though, like things do look bullish. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll keep an eye on it. I'll add that to the watch list. It's gonna be interesting to watch how that unfolds. I mean, it's definitely extremely oversold. There's gaps to fill above too. So we'll see. So for Kayla stock, so let's see. So for this one, like I discussed, like the max risk on this one would be at 83 cents for this gap fill. So it ended up, filling the gap, no positive reaction. It turned it into resistance immediately for 2 days. So there's really no reason to hold this one. It's unfortunate, like it did have that spike. I was looking for some sort of like spike with the conference that was released, I think on November 19th, I think it was. And it did have a move. It was just during extended hours and it happened way too quickly. So it just wasn't realistic to get out at that price, which is very unfortunate. But I mean, it did go from 95 cents to 130. But yeah, as of now, like from a short term view, like this looks bearish. It's turned the key level, your key 80 cent level, previous all time lows into resistance. So there's just no signs of a bottom as it's turning previous support into resistance, new lower highs, and new all time lows. So yeah, it's just not looking good. So CHGG, let's see. So I mean, this one's extremely oversold. Um, your key support is going to be at like $24 a share. It's been bouncing ever since it hit that level. The key for this to continue to run is it needs to break out and hold above $30 a share. That's key. If it can do that, should be able to push back to $35 a share. And then there's also that gap breakout strategy that we talked about on a previous stock in this live stream. I forget the ticker, but I set the price alert. So also set a price alert for a day trading opportunity at or above 39.34. Once it breaks above that, that's going to be a good opportunity to really start to take advantage of the gap fill play. But yeah, right now it does look bullish. So you got to see how it reacts towards $30 a share. If it can break out and holds, you're looking at 35. If not, then like back towards like 26 to 27 range. This was another stock. This one had such a nice gap close reversal today. LGVN. If you've been looking at this stock, this one likes to go crazy and get halted multiple times. This one has been phenomenal at like gap close reversals. Like you could see right here, there was a gap to fill at 17, what was it, 17.17. It nearly fills the gap. It shoots back up to 25, fills that gap right here towards 26, has a reversal, goes back down to fill this gap right here at $18, literally bottoms, and then pops back to 25 again. I'm going to keep an eye on this one too. Right now, I don't see a play in it. I'm just watching it for now. But yeah, that was a good gap close reversal for today. All right, so IGVN. That's not a stock. Let's see. All right, so I'm gonna go through some of the we had like 34 comments on that post where I asked about stocks. I'm gonna go through some of those. Let's see. All right, so we had 35 comments. So we went over chapter. Let's see, MRAI. This one I really have no opinion on. I just don't like the chart at all. Okay, we went over ADR, CYN. So CYN, I just really don't like the chart at all. It looks like for the short term, we'll see some sort of pop. It's not my type of play. This is a bullish confirmation, though. You have a nice doji forming a key support. It should pop. Let's see what else. Went over Alibaba, went over Duncan, AERC. No opinion on this one. I mean, if it goes back to 117 ever, I'll definitely be looking to short this. ARDX. So for ARDX, no signs of bullish for the short term. It looks like we're headed back to like 110 to even like 90 cents. I'm not interested in this one for now. There is that gap breakout strategy, and that would be, you see I got my alert set, so that would be at $2 a share. AMD, let's see, AMD. Ooh, AMD has some potential. Let's see. Just we really got to see how SPY reacts though, because that 460s is going to be the key. So yeah, but AMD again. So we filled this key oversold gap and then it shot back up. And then we hit this gap to fill 144. So yeah, just I really got to focus on SPY too. So AOSL. This one I'm bearish on. I think this is headed back towards 43. I think we're going to go back to fill that gap at 43. PED. PED, there's a gap to fill here at 79 cents. That's where it's heading, 79 cents. We could see how it reacts once it hits 79 cents for a potential reversal push back to like 125 around that zone. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's got heavy support towards that range, and it's been consistently spiking in that channel. So that'll be interesting to watch as well. FCEL. Really nice candle coming in. You got some support there. I don't have much of an opinion on this one. I would wait till like 570. There's a gap to fill mid fives. I would wait till then. I wouldn't touch it now. If it goes back to 950 to fill that gap, I'll look to potentially short it. Till then, I'm on sidelines basically. So Savastock. So yeah, like I told you guys in that video, you know, if it's on track to fill the gap, it filled the gap, and then I locked in my profits. There was a gap to fill at 61.59. It filled the gap. It reacted as resistance. It, you know, started to have its reversal. So I locked in profits at 58.38, something like that, from 54.98. Now it's at 43. In terms of your best overall support it's recently had is sitting at like 35 to 32. So for this one, I would say like it's still bearish. Wait to see how it reacts towards like $35 a share. But I'm not seeing any reason to buy from a technical view. Like, yeah, there's some support right here. It's just, it had this really bearish gap close reversal. No signs of a bottom yet. So I would sit on the sidelines for Sava. I think it's headed back towards $35 a share. Microsoft. Not interested in this one. See how it reacts towards 310. And then let's see. Okay, so we had snow. Snow. For snow, for this to continue to run, it needs to bottom out at 311. Gap filled 311. That's where it's heading. It's heading to 311. So we'll see. Okay, Neo. Neo's been beaten down. Yeah, I mean, we're at a make it or break it key support level. I like how it's got nice upside potential at this 3190 level, and then you had this gap to fill, which has now been filled at 3122. Today it bottomed out at 2966. It's forming that wick, so the buyers are stepping in. So this is another one where it could potentially rip back to fill this gap here at 3620. So I'm gonna keep a close eye on Neo. As of now, it's having a bullish reaction. We could be heading back to 3620. So Neo is gonna be another play I'm gonna keep an eye on. Let's see. So I had Neo in there. Okay, so we went over APVO, PLLA, not interested in that. VUCI, not interested in this. LSPD. So for this one, I mean, I'll see how it reacts towards 3450. That's where it's overall heading. Just gonna take time. Gap filled there. Okay, so let me know, guys. Any last calls on any stocks? I'll go through some here on my previous watches as well. See if there's anything going on. Let's see. Fiverr, there was a gap to fill 136. It's cracked through. Yeah, wouldn't touch that just yet. Um, yeah, so I mean, so we have plenty of good plays that are on the back burner for like midterm and long term. We just gotta wait for those prices to trigger. I would say for the short term, my top watches and focus for potential, trades would be like Alibaba, Zoom, PROG, and ISIG. Those would be like the top. Oh, and OCGN and Lucid. Those would be like the top 5 plays that I'm gonna keep an eye on for tomorrow as of now. So yeah, I definitely think I'll be in a trade for tomorrow for sure. Um, BOLT. Yeah, so this is not a good chart. There's no story to it. There's nothing much to it. It's had very few occurrences where it really spiked. It's got no overall support channel and it's consistently pushing for new all-time lows. So there's really just no reason to get in from a technical view on this. So yeah, for AMC, if you guys watch my previous videos on AMC, I told you to get in at that key level, this gap fill right here at 2612. It literally bottomed out. The low was 2531 and then it shot up to 31. As of now, though, in terms of where it's heading, I mean, your key overall support was at $30. This was a level where, AMC right here, there was a gap to fill right here at $30 a share. It filled the gap. It had a reversal. It went back to 50. And it went back to that gap fill level several times and shot back up to 45, shot back up to 50. If you've been studying its overall price action, it loves to have those gap close reversals. And if you look at the long term chart history on AMC, it really loves to fill the gaps. It's filled basically every single gap from a long term point of view on the upside. I mean, there was a point in time where there was gaps fills in the 18s, 20s, 40s. It filled the gap eventually. For this one, there's multiple gaps to fill below. In terms of gaps to fill above, there's really only like one left. There's one sitting here at 45, and then I think there's one sitting here at 51. Yeah, there's one sitting here at 51.69 too. So for the short term though, I mean things are looking bearish simply because it turned that key support level, that key gap fill level at $30 into a resistance level. So it's not looking good. So until it can really turn $30 into support, it's gonna start to downtrend and really retrace itself back. So the bears have shown some true strength. Like the bulls stepped in for that short-term gap close reversal at $26, but it pops back and it turns previous heavy support into resistance. Like that is not good. That is extremely bearish. That you've seen 3 days now in a row where it turns your key $30 level into a resistance level. So that's extremely bearish. It looks like we're heading back to $26, and that's just not a good sign for AMC for its like short-term price action. It's really not a good sign. So yeah, man, that's my thoughts on that one. Um, let's see. So ABUS, this has some potential. It's headed back towards 320. So until then, just wait and see how it reacts. You see signs of a reversal at that level. It's starting to trend back up. Then you could look to ride this back up towards the gap fill play at $4.15. Um, so yeah, that'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on as well. Yeah, BYND, I like that one long term. That'll be a good gap fill play. Um, let's see. There's been some gaps to fill. Gap to fill right here at 59. Has this bottomed out for the short term? I don't think it's bottomed out yet. It's still turning previous support into resistance. I would just sit on the sidelines for BYD for now, but long term, this definitely has some nice upside potential. I like this one long term. Just gotta wait for a good entry. Up 25% on Pro. Congratulations. Yeah, we went over LGVN. So that one I'm just on the sidelines for. I'm not seeing really any opportunity for LGVN yet. In terms of the chart though, overall it's bearish right now. It's consistently topped out at 25s, heading back to your key level of support, so it's just bound to really try and crack it. Let's see, did it do anything in after hours? I mean, just put it this way: if 20 cracks and turns into resistance, the stock's basically fucked for the short term. Just put it that way. And it's already on that, so I would definitely sway away from buying this one for the time being. And then you do also have that gap to fill. There's multiple gaps to fill. The gap to fill below at 687, gap to fill at 292. But this one does like to spike. It does like to really pop. I just gotta wait for some sort of opportunity, which for me would be like a gap up. Like if this can gap up and then go back to that gap fill level like it previously did, like it gapped up, it went back to the gap fill level, had a reversal, shot back up. That's where I'd be interested to get in. Other than this going back to fill the gaps here and then play for reversal. So basically for me, like I'm looking for like a gap up, and then when it gaps up, I'll look to buy it once it goes back down to fill the gap below for a reversal. That's what I'd look for on this one potentially. RKLB, it's not a good chart. I would avoid this one at all costs. So yeah, BBIG still on the sidelines. It's definitely due for that bounce though. Lucid should fill that gap at 47. We talked about that one. CPIX. CPIX, just I would just stay away from this one. Um, yeah, I would just avoid this one. Way too much resistance. I'll add that on my watch list for potential short. I think there's going to be easier shorts though, so probably not going to do anything with it. All right, so ALF. So we got a gap fill on 341. It filled the gap. No signs of a reversal yet. So I mean, for this one, it really needs to push above 341 to run. There's no signs of a reversal. It's overall bearish. I wouldn't do anything with this one yet. All right, so yeah, guys, we've been going live for, let's see, 1 hour and 15 minutes. I've covered every stock listed. So yeah, that's gonna be wrapping up the webinar. So the top 5 plays that I'm gonna be looking at tomorrow: OCGN, LCID, Alibaba, ISIG, and then I'm gonna keep a close eye on as well for CHPT and DKNG. Those will be interesting too. But yeah, so Trader Society, the program is going to be launching tomorrow evening. So just be on the lookout for the announcement on that. All the information will be included, where you'll be able to join, tomorrow night. You get instant access to everything, and then the daily routine with everything included, that officially starts on Wednesday. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having you guys within that program. For those of you new to the channel, make sure you're subscribed. Any last questions, let me know, and then I'm gonna close out the stream here. So let's see, Microsoft. But yeah, I guess like this is like last calls. Any last questions, let me know. So yeah, we went over Microsoft for this one. I would wait for it to go back to 310 to potentially buy. So I'd wait towards 310. All right, guys, last calls. Let me know, and then we're gonna close out the stream. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. PTPI. Let's see. All right, so PTPI. So for this one, it has potential. Just wait. I mean, we could see, like, what we could see is so it hit the gap right at 209. We could see a little reversal back towards 248, which is great. I would just wait for 133. Just wait for it to go to 133. That's where I would look to get in on this one. That's where it's got that huge upside potential, key support. Wait towards that level. Give it time; it'll fill that gap, and then that'll be a great play, especially like if this gap hasn't been filled at 4 yet. So for that one, just wait towards there. So Mara stock, MARA. Let's see. Yeah, I would wait on this one. I would wait until around like $32 a share, 30 to $32 a share. I would give that one some time. I think long term this has some great potential. I don't think it's gonna have a problem going back to 76 a share. There's a gap fill at 76. Then that'll be the opportunity to do a short term trade where I short the stock or buy puts. So at or above 75 and then at or below 32. That'll be the plays for that one on the sidelines for now. Can the gap fill at 1017 on Duncan, or is that out of the question? Let's see. So I mean, we still haven't gotten confirmation of its reversal, as it's still testing previous support reacted as resistance. I mean, anything's possible. I'm not seeing the gap to fill though at $10. I'm not seeing that, so I'm not sure where you're getting that one from. But I'm saying if this can go above 31 and hold, it's really going to start to launch back to the 35s. Gap is from 2019. Yeah, I'm just not seeing it. The furthest it's going back for me is on April 24th, 2020. Let's see. Guys, please believe me, I've been watching this guy from a long time. Just trade liquid stocks on SPY. Don't fall for this guy and meme stocks. So I mean, I do both. But yeah, meme stocks have been a great opportunity to grow small accounts. So I mean, I would definitely keep an eye on those two. But yeah, I mean, I do both. I'm not sure why you're still watching though, if that's how you feel. Like I have this one guy I've been working like with a small group. I have this one guy within my chat. His name is Italian. He had turned 7,000 into 400,000 through a Webull account, and it was all done through a short squeeze stocks. Like we've had some big plays. We've had Bed Bath and Beyond that ripped from like 15 to 30 fairly quickly. We've had a lot of good short squeeze plays. Um, but yeah, like you could see, he's done it all mainly through options. So ARKK. Let's see. Yeah, this has some potential. It really needs to stay above 95. I'll add it to my watch list. It has some potential. SoFi. All right, so we filled the gap at 1517. So far, it's bounced. For the Bulls to really take control, we need to see a breakout above 16, and that needs to hold. If that can happen, we're looking at 1750 would be that next level. So yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye on that one too. All right, so guys, we built out a pretty great watch list. Definitely gonna be making a trade tomorrow. I already see some great opportunities for tomorrow. But yeah, so make sure you subscribe to the channel, and then I'm gonna be announcing the launch of Trader Society tomorrow evening, and then the program, the daily routine, will officially launch on Wednesday morning. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the